Gentlemen, welcome to the Hide Site. I'm a United States Army sniper currently serving, and in today's video, we're taking a look at the white man's Draco. Do you hate short-barreled AKs? Well, good. I introduce to you the DPMS Panther Arms Kitty Cat. In today's video, we're going to answer 3 questions. What is this gun good at? What is this gun bad at? And whether it's worth the money or not. Now, the first advantage or pro of the Kitty Cat is the most obvious, which is going to be its size. It's very easily concealable. I find that it zips up quite nicely in your average-sized duffel bags, and maybe mid-sized backpacks. It's also very maneuverable, very wieldy. Getting in and out of the truck, I had no issues engaging targets. I wasn't getting caught on anything or bumping into anything. It's easily fired one-handed, maybe even in conjunction with a ballistic shield, which obviously is what it was originally intended and designed to do. Now, its second advantage, it looks very cool, and that's about where the advantages end. Now, my first gripe with the Kitty Cat is going to be zeroing. Now, I did not struggle to get satisfactory size groups. In fact, I believe I got 1 or 2 sub 2 MOA size groups at 25 yards, which for a gun of its caliber and manufacturing is actually quite impressive. And it goes to show you just how far and how many advancements have been made in the manufacturing of cheap and commercial firearms in the last 2 decades. Now, where I did struggle was with where those groups were actually impacting on my target. Now, what do I mean by that? You got to think these irons were originally designed for a 20-inch barrel, the M16. Once you change that relationship between that rear and front aperture, right? When you bring that rear and front aperture closer and closer together, this allows for a lot of room for error. So if you adjust your technique or shift in any way, you're going to see that on your board. So, if you adjust your cheek to stockwell a little, or you adjust how low or how high your gun is sitting off the ground, you're going to see a shift on your board, and it's very, very dramatic due to this short relationship between this rear and front aperture. Now, how do you fix that? Throw a red dot on it, and everything I just said for the last minute is of no concern. But it's one thing to note for you beginners, or for those of you that have very little experience with iron sights. My next gripe with the Kitty Cat is going to be the recoil impulse. Now, this one is not very significant to those of you that have been shooting a long time or have experience doing so. It's very manageable for those of you that have experience. However, this is not a gun for your kid. This is not a gun to introduce to your girlfriend. And even yourself, you might find it's not a pleasant shooter. So if this is something you intended on buying as a little plinker, you take out, every once in a while and have a good time with, this might not be for you. Because again, although the impulse is manageable, it's not exactly pleasant. One thing to note is going to be your max effective. You're going to be limited to about 200 to 250 meters. And yes, this is shooter dependent. Yes, this is glass dependent. You could really argue about it all day long. But realistically, this is what you are limited to. When I went down there to pick up my steel, you could see 2 different examples of 5.56 on the target. One being out of my 10.5-inch barrel with a 4-inch suppressor, and one being out of the 7.5-inch barrel out of the Kitty Cat. And you could see the sheer difference in deformation. And this is because of that drop off or that fall off in power. With the 7.5-inch barrel, there's just far less velocity behind that slug, delivering far less power to your target. Now, don't get me wrong, no one is going to volunteer to be hit by 5.56 out of any barrel length. However, this is just one thing to consider depending on your environment and your situation. Now, my 4th issue with the Kitty Cat is its malfunctions or cleanliness. At about the 100 round mark, I found that it got very, very dirty. Now, this isn't unexpected due to the short barrel. There's just a lot of stuff not getting burnt up in that process, and then that stuff gets kicked back into the star chamber and the bolt. So again, not unexpected. However, it started to cause malfunctions. I think about 5 or 6 times I got a failure to feed. So at about that 100 round mark, maybe every 15 or 20 rounds, I would get a failure to feed. So that round would, I'd get that round off, the casing would eject, bolt would close again, and then I'd get a click. Now you might be saying, okay, maybe it's the magazine. However, this isn't the case either. I think I used maybe 4 or 5 different magazines. I had a K Industries mag, a Colt magazine, DPMS magazine, and a Duramag magazine, and all 4 made no difference. I would continue to get this malfunction. So what does this mean for you? If you're a range shooter, or you just intend to defend your home with this, or This is just a go have fun gun. Not really a problem, right? Just about every 100 rounds, you can just take the bolt out quickly. It takes no more than a couple seconds to wipe it down, and you're good to go. Now, if you intend to fight a guerrilla war with this in the hills of Appalachia, maybe look elsewhere. Now, the last disadvantage to the Kitty Cat is going to be wear and tear. Due to that short barrel, the pressures are much higher, and overall the mechanism is a lot more violent, which is going to cause a lot more wear and tear on your bolt carrier group. So if your pockets are not very deep, one thing to consider is you're going to end up replacing your bolt carrier group far sooner on this than you would maybe your standard 16-inch AR. Now, this leads us to our final question, which is, should I buy the Kitty Cat? Now, if you're an inexperienced shooter, you're new to shooting, or you intend on this being your first AR, I would say maybe look elsewhere. There's far better options on the market for you in terms of getting a bang for your buck, and I would even encourage you to maybe gravitate towards more of a beginner-oriented AR, a 16-inch barrel, etc. And there's various manufacturers out there that make great examples of this. Now, if you're an experienced shooter, you already have a couple ARs lying around, and you have a chunk of change you want to spend on a go have fun gun, or you want to LARP as a SWAT team member or something, I say go crazy. I in no way regret buying the Kitty Cat, and I think DPMS, although some drawbacks, I think DPMS has made a quality product that I intend on keeping. So I hope you guys got something from this video. I want to thank you for your time and your view, and I hope to catch you guys in the next one.